Che's performing?
Oh, yeah, you know what? Charlotte roped me into participating. Then I roped in CHE, which actually wasn't that big. Oh, okay, well.
And just like that, CHE is back. And this time, not just in Miranda's fantasies. The Sex and the City reboot has caused some fans to wonder, is it too woke? And others to talk about, it's not about the wokeness, it's about the writing of the wokeness. I'm not gonna comment on that because kind of afraid of the fan base, but I will say, regardless of whether people are out there hate watching it or genuinely enjoying it, there's no doubt that this reboot is bringing in some numbers for HBO. But today isn't about HBO, it's about CHE and Miranda, and Carrie and Charlotte, and what in the hell we're about to watch take place during episode 7 of And Just Like That. Reminder, this is a recap, so if you don't want to be spoiled, make sure you watch episode 7 first. So what's going on in Act 1 of episode 7? Carrie writes a book, and her editor loves it, but needs it to be a bit more cheery in the end.
I want to fast track it for the Christmas season.
Oh my gosh.
I just have one note.
Is it about the clown suit Carrie's wearing? Or... Look, guys, I love Carrie's style, and I love that they still have her taking risks and dressing in ways that only skinny people can get away with. But, I mean, like, this looks like a clown suit, right? I mean, all she's missing is the green hair and the big shoes. I mean, is this what's in style right now? I mean, am I gonna see watered-down versions of clown suits in department store windows this spring?
But we can beat these.
Oh, we can, and we will.
I loved this Charlotte and Lisa Wexley playing a couple of older ladies in a tennis match scene. It was fun, it was campy. It surprised me, because I haven't noticed any other campiness through the first 6 episodes of the reboot, but nonetheless, I enjoyed it. As much as I hate to admit this, I have to agree with the overwhelming disappointment fans have expressed with the way the show has chosen to portray Steve in the reboot.
No, that's the bad vegetable stand where the guy's mean. I'm at the good place, farthest from our house with the squash. Just find me, okay?
She's annoyed at him because he's lost? Maybe the writers want us to see this woman who's taking out her frustrations with her repressed queerness on poor old Steve, but really all the audience can see is poor old Steve. And as fans online have pointed out, it really is weird that they're not having Charlotte and Carrie or any of them bring up the Steve cheating thing when the discussions about CHE come up. Like, if I was a guilty cheater who was in denial about my guilty cheating, the first thing I would do when I was telling my friends would be like, okay, first of all, remember when that bastard cheated on me 7 years ago? I maybe have something to confess, but the important thing to remember is that he's a dirty skank cheater first. Grandpa Steve forgets his wallet, and Miranda kind of rolls her eyes at the I have to change my husband's diapers-ness of it all. I keep hoping they're gonna redeem him somehow. Like, I was actively wishing they would have his character cheat on Miranda with some hot chick, but they're far more likely to have Miranda put Steve into a hospice facility than they are do that.
Well, he's objectively handsome.
To who?
To who? Miranda has no time. Miranda has no to give for old man gray-haired. And if you don't have swoopy black bangs that reek of weed, she just can't see the appeal. Carrie and Miranda take a walk while Carrie talks about her new dating journey and how she can't imagine sleeping with anyone who isn't big.
But the thought of having sex with anyone other than big just makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, can't relate. Miranda's like, oh, what's that like? Couldn't relate any less.
CHE.
Yeah. They never ask about me at the podcast, do they?
They never ask about me at the podcast, do they? Oh no, Miranda, no! Do I ever come up at podcast meetings? Professor Naya and her husband are driving along when suddenly Naya's text-to-voice car feature interrupts their lovely day and informs her husband that she has told Miranda that they're not pregnant before she told him. And this is why I don't use things like text-to-voice features, while we're at it, stop letting people take your phone and flip through your pictures on their own. You gotta hold it like a PowerPoint presentation and do it yourself so you can tell when the last picture before that deep vag shot you sent your girlfriend yesterday is coming up.
Sir, she said she was sorry.
I have a toddler.
Okay, so you need to check yourself.
I have a toddler. I have a toddler.
Okay, I pretty much almost get run over like every time I leave the house here in Chicago, and I definitely will be employing the I have a toddler technique in the future, although I definitely don't have a toddler. Excuse me? Did you not see the stop sign back there? I have a Chicago hot dog in my hands. I have a Chicago dog in my hands. Thank you. Oi, the Steve attempts to Miranda scene. Somebody put this guy out of his misery. He loses wallets and forgot how to fiddle the banjo? Just like, did somebody at this table forget to order the quick divorce? Why is this happening? Carrie has her first date since Big's death, and they both get white girl wasted and end up vomiting in the street. Best first date ever? Or... So we get to the big fundraiser event that starts off the second half of the episode, and this, by the way, was what I was looking for at the Diwali party last episode. This, fun, big event, that movie magic, but whatever. As a stand-up comedian who has hosted all kinds of events and fundraisers, I absolutely died at Lisa Wexley not being able to hold a microphone up to her mouth. Like, the accuracy of it. Of course, what a great idea to have Che perform at this fancy charity event.
So listen, I usually do about a 40-minute set, but don't worry. They've asked me to keep it clean, so I should be done here about 3 minutes. Yeah.
Affiliate on the hard to do a profanity-free set thing. The last time I was asked to work in art fair that would have children in attendance, I realized I have 2 jokes that aren't filled with bombs and references. 2.
You should have just DM'd me again. Ask for what you want.
I don't know. That can be a slippery slope. I'll tell you this. The first time I ever told an ex that I loved her, she pretended like she didn't hear it. So a few days later, I said it again. Then she slowly turned to me and was like, yeah, I heard you the first time. So that didn't work out at all for me. Okay, cool. Wait, like if Che didn't notice the first DM, they probably aren't going to notice the second one, which is why Miranda should have just asked Carrie for Che's number. What do we think of new first date guy for Carrie, huh? They're portraying him as a really nice gentleman type, but my first reaction was like that he's kind of boring. So let's talk about Che and Miranda.
I think I'm in love with you. You're in love with you. With me.
This feels like Che kind of nailed it. Miranda doesn't know Che that well, and I admit maybe Miranda is really in love with Che, but Miranda loving the way she feels when she's with Che just rang so true. Conclusion. This episode was leaps and bounds ahead of the last episode as far as entertainment value, where episode 6 felt like it dragged or was almost completely unnecessary. Episode 7 was filled with humor and drama and fights and another Che Miranda hookup. However much I disagree with the writers' choices, I've got to hand it to them that they've kept my interest 7 episodes in. I've already spent a fair amount of time wondering whether And Just Like That will get the go-ahead for a second season. It's getting crucified in terms of the fans' response, but I'm thinking with the number of subscribers it has brought HBO and the views, I actually think this totally will be renewed. But where are you 7 episodes in? Are you one of those people who's hate watching, or are you genuinely enjoying the content? Is it somewhere in between? What surprises me is how little I care about Carrie's dating life. I remember the girls dating felt like such a big part of the original show. It really surprises me that I felt Carrie's date was the least interesting part of episode 7. Well, I think that pretty much covers episode 7. We shall see which direction they take things for episode 8. I did read that some of the writers are getting death threats because of this reboot, and as somebody who fancies the occasional rip a TV show to shreds or, tear a new one into a movie, it makes it less fun for all of us when fans take things to that extreme. So yeah, that made me kind of sad to hear about. Well, I am Amanda. This is my Really Gay YouTube channel. And just like that, this recap is over.